You wake up at 11:30 in the morning. Again. Light shines through the thin curtains in your bedroom, the ones you bought 3 years ago, promising to change them, but which are obviously still there, faded and stained from that time you spilled your coffee while checking Instagram while still half asleep. Your phone vibrates on the nightstand, a text from your mother asking if you're still alive, followed by 12 LinkedIn notifications suggesting jobs that require extraordinary motivation and a passion for productivity. You delete everything without opening it, not because you're lazy, but because you're already thinking about something completely different. In your head right now, you're solving a problem no one asked you to solve. You're imagining a new system for organizing complex information. Or maybe you're visualizing a solution to that project you left unfinished 3 weeks ago. You're not doing anything concrete. You're not lifting a finger, yet your brain is working at a speed that would put a 1990s supercomputer to shame. But try explaining it to someone. Try telling your dad or your boss or that hyperactive friend of yours who runs marathons every Sunday morning at 6 a.m. that you're not actually lazy, that you're just operating on a level of consciousness they can't even imagine. Leave a like now so I know you're on a different frequency too. Spoiler alert, they won't believe it. They'll look at you with that smile of pity mixed with contempt, the one that says, sure, go ahead and tell yourself that. Because the world doesn't forgive those who stand still. The world wants movement, action, sweat, full agendas, to-do lists with 27 bullet points and color-coordinated text. The world wants to see effort, and if you don't show it, then you don't exist. Or you're just a failure with a great talent for self-deception. But here's the truth no one's ever told you. The one a Swiss psychologist with a morbid passion for symbols in the collective unconscious discovered almost a century ago. You're not lazy. You're simply connected to a network of intelligence that most people don't even know exists. And this, my friend, terrifies everyone around you. Because if you're right, if your way of functioning is truly superior, then everything others have built on the foundation of sacrifice, discipline, and 5 a.m. alarm clocks collapses like a house of cards on a windy day. Welcome to the most misunderstood club in human history, the club of lazy geniuses, or rather what society calls lazy geniuses, but who are actually individuals who access dimensions of the human mind that would require a doctorate just to properly explain. Are you ready to discover why everyone fears you? Get ready, because this story will completely change the way you see yourself, and more importantly, the way you see all those workaholics who have always made you feel inadequate. Let's start with an uncomfortable fact. Modern society is built on a huge, colossal, monumental lie. The idea that human value is measured by how visibly busy you are. The busier you are, the more valuable you are. The fuller your schedule, the more important you are. The more you complain about how much you work, the more respectable you are. It's a perfect system, elegant in its simplicity, and completely, irremediably flawed.
Take you, for example. You've been sitting on the couch for 3 hours. You haven't done anything concrete. Maybe you've stared out the window for a good 45 minutes, watching that pigeon that keeps returning to the same branch of the linden tree in front of your building. Maybe you've been surfing YouTube, stumbled upon a video on the construction techniques of Roman aqueducts, and wondered why the hell those structures are still standing when your building has already had 4 water leaks in the last 2 years. Then you went back to staring at the ceiling, noticing that crack that vaguely resembles the outline of Italy, and you've been lost in thoughts ranging from plate tectonics to the possibility of parallel universes where you actually did something productive today. By normal standards, you've wasted your day, According to your roommate, who was already at the gym at 8 this morning and is now preparing meal prep for the week while listening to a podcast about personal growth, you're basically a social parasite. But here's what's really going on in your brain while everyone judges you. You're processing, you're connecting, you're accessing that part of your mind that can't be forced, programmed, or optimized with some ridiculous app that promises to turn you into a millionaire entrepreneur in 12 weeks. Your brain is doing what it does best, wandering freely through patterns, connections that no algorithm can predict. You're fishing in an ocean of information that belongs not only to you, but to all of humanity. Does that sound exaggerated? Mystical? New Age? Well, prepare to think again, because what I'm about to tell you is supported by decades of psychological research and is also being confirmed by modern neuroscience. But no one will ever tell you this because admitting this truth would mean destroying the entire productivity industry that rakes in billions every year by selling planners, courses, seminars, and coffees that taste like burnt cardboard but promise infinite energy. That Swiss guy I mentioned earlier was named Carl Jung. No, he wasn't a motivational guru, he didn't sell online courses, he didn't have a YouTube channel with thumbnails of him screaming with exaggerated faces. He was a serious, academic, respected psychiatrist who spent his life studying the human mind with an almost disturbing obsession. And he discovered something that shook the foundations of everything we thought we knew about talent, creativity, and success. Jung documented case after case of people who seemed completely useless in the eyes of the world, individuals who couldn't hold down a regular job, who spent hours seemingly doing nothing, who were labeled time wasters, dreamers, and slackers. But when Jung dug deeper, when he truly analyzed what was going on in their minds, he was left speechless. These people had jaw-dropping insights. They saw solutions no one else could even imagine. They made connections between seemingly unrelated ideas with an ease that seemed almost supernatural. They weren't wasting time. They were operating on a completely different frequency. Jung called this phenomenon various things throughout his career, but the central concept was always the same. There are individuals who don't create ideas through conscious effort, but receive them. Like antennas, like receivers tuned to a radio station broadcasting from a deeper dimension of reality. I know it sounds absurd. I know it sounds like the stuff of B-grade science fiction movies, but stay with me because it gets even more interesting. Jung distinguished between two types of creative person. The first type, what Jung called the psychological artist, works with the material of their own personal experience. They take their emotions, memories, and observations of the world and transform them into something new. This is the kind of creativity everyone understands. It's predictable, understandable, and reassuring. Then there's the second type, what Jung called the visionary artist. And here's where things get weird. The visionary artist doesn't draw from his own personal experience. He draws from something else, from what Jung called the collective unconscious, a vast, incomprehensible library of symbols, archetypes, patterns, and knowledge that belongs to the entire human species. It's not your stuff. It's not stuff you learned in school or read in a book. It's stuff that exists in a shared dimension of the human psyche, accumulated over millennia of evolution. And some people, for reasons even Jung couldn't fully explain, have direct access to this library.
You, lazy genius, are one of them. You're not inventing ideas out of thin air. You're downloading information from a source most people don't even know exists. And that requires something very specific. Silence, stillness, what everyone else calls doing nothing. Think about how many times your best ideas have come when you weren't actively trying to have them. In the shower, during an aimless walk, in that strange moment between sleep and wakefulness, when your brain isn't yet fully activated but already awake enough to register thoughts. While you stared at the ceiling in the darkness of your room at 3 a.m., unable to sleep but strangely lucid. These aren't coincidences. They're the moments when your conscious mind, that part of you that tries to control everything, steps aside and makes room for something else. Jung observed that true creativity doesn't come from the ego, from the conscious and rational part of the mind. It comes from the depths, from the unconscious. And accessing the unconscious requires the exact opposite of what productivity culture preaches. You can't force it. You can't plan it. You can't put it on Google Calendar between answer emails and team calls. It emerges when it wants, at its own pace, and all you can do is create the right conditions for it to happen. That's why you seem lazy, because you're instinctively creating those conditions. You're protecting your mental space from all the noise, distractions, and unnecessary demands that society throws at you every second of every day. You're not avoiding work. You're preserving something infinitely more precious, the ability to think in a genuinely original way. But no one understands. Your family thinks you're a failure. Your hyperactive friends look at you with a mixture of pity and annoyance. Society labels you as unambitious, unmotivated, a waste of potential. And the worst part, you're probably starting to believe it too, because it's hard to resist when everyone around you tells you there's something wrong with you. But here's the truth Jung discovered that changed everything. The problem isn't you. The problem is that modern society has completely reversed priorities. It has decided that activity is more important than results, that appearing busy is more important than being effective, that doing a lot of mediocre things is better than doing one exceptional thing. And it has built an entire culture around this absurdity. Do you want to know why society fears you? Not because you're useless, but because you pose an existential threat to their entire system. If you're right, if your approach works better than theirs, then they've wasted their lives. All those sacrifices, all those extra hours, all those sleepless nights spent working hard while you slept soundly, all of it suddenly becomes pointless. And no one wants to admit they were so wrong, so long, so completely.
Jung called it productivity anxiety, the unconscious fear that maybe, just maybe, all this striving is for nothing. That maybe there's a better way, a way that doesn't require you to kill yourself. And you, simply by existing, are living proof of this possibility. That's why they hate you. Not because you're lazy, but because you're proof that everything they believe in could be a gigantic waste of time. Now, let's do an experiment. It's what Jung would have done with his patients. Take your phone, set a timer for 5 minutes, then sit in silence. No music, no podcasts, no endless scrolling on social media. Just you and your thoughts. 5 minutes. Sounds easy, right? Here's what happens. If you're a normal person, one who has fully embraced the culture of productivity, within 30 seconds you'll start to feel uncomfortable. The silence will bother you. You'll feel the irresistible urge to do something, anything. Check your notifications, get up, make a list, organize something. The emptiness will feel unbearable, wasted, wrong. Your mind will interpret those 5 minutes
as a missed opportunity, a hole in your schedule that could have been filled with something productive. But if you're a lazy genius, if you're truly one of those Jungians described, something completely different happens. For the first few seconds, there's silence. Then, gradually, things start to arrive. Thoughts, connections, solutions to problems you weren't even actively thinking about. Your mind doesn't panic, it expands, it relaxes. And in that space, in that quiet that everyone else finds terrifying, you find gold. This is the test. This is how Jung distinguished between those who are truly connected to the collective unconscious and those who are simply avoiding responsibility. It's not a question of laziness. It's a question of how your brain responds to silence. If silence nourishes you, you're on the right side of history. If silence terrifies you, you're just another victim of the social conditioning that has convinced you that every moment must be filled with frenetic activity and forced meaning. Jung documented incredible cases. People who had never studied a topic suddenly produced insights so profound they seemed impossible. Artists created works containing symbols they had never consciously seen, yet which were identical to symbols used by completely separate cultures thousands of years earlier. Inventors saw complete solutions in their minds, already formed, as if they were downloading them from somewhere instead of building them piece by piece. It wasn't magic, it wasn't mysticism, it was access. Access to a dimension of the human mind that exists, that is real, that is documented, but that most people never touch because they are too busy being productive, too busy meeting deadlines, compiling reports, answering meaningless emails, and attending meetings that could have been resolved with a 3-line message.
And here we come to the most disturbing point of this whole story. Jung discovered something that initially made him hesitate to publish because he knew it would spark controversy. He discovered that this access to the collective unconscious is not democratic. It's not something everyone can do simply by deciding to try. Some people are naturally more connected, and these people are almost always misunderstood, marginalized, and destroyed by the social system that doesn't know what to do with them. Why? Because they can't be controlled. They don't respond to normal incentives. You can't motivate them with promotions, bonuses, or social recognition. They don't care about winning awards, impressing the boss, or climbing the corporate ladder. They're driven by something else, by what Jung called inner need, an impulse that comes from within, autonomous, non-negotiable. And this makes it impossible to integrate them into the system. The system needs predictability. It needs people who do what they're told, when they're told, the way they're told. The lazy genius is the antithesis of all this. He works when it makes sense to him, not when the calendar says he should work. He produces when he's inspired, not when the project manager sets the deadline. And the results he produces when they finally arrive are so superior to anyone else's that they become embarrassing for everyone else who worked twice as hard and got 1/10 of the work. Think about Einstein. His colleagues considered him a slacker. He spent hours staring into space, pacing aimlessly, playing the violin instead of doing serious research. His supervisors complained. They told him he needed to apply himself more, be more methodical, follow procedures. And what did he do? He completely ignored them. He continued daydreaming. And from those dreams emerged theories that changed physics forever. Or Tesla, that crazy Tesla who preferred mental experiments to getting his hands dirty with practical work. They made fun of him. They called him impractical, out of touch, useless. But in his mind, he visualized complete inventions, already finished, already tested. He saw machines working before he even built them. And when he finally built them, they worked right away. While everyone else was trying 1,000 trials and errors, he did just one thing. But that thing was perfect. Darwin. Poor Darwin. It took him 20 years to publish his theory of evolution. 20 years during which everyone thought he was procrastinating, afraid, paralyzed by indecision. But he wasn't procrastinating. He was working on it. He was allowing the idea to fully mature, to be tested from every possible angle in his mind before committing it to paper. And when he finally published it, it was so solid that it withstood 1.5 centuries of criticism and attempts to demolish it. See the pattern? Lazy geniuses aren't slow because they're stupid. They're slow because they're doing something infinitely more complex than the average person. They're waiting for their subconscious to do its job. And the subconscious can't be accelerated. It doesn't respond to deadlines. It doesn't care if your boss wants results by Friday. It works on its own schedule, and you can only wait. But society doesn't accept this answer. Society wants everything now, all the time, constantly. It wants you to always be on, always available, always performing. And when you're not, when you need those moments of silence and apparent inactivity that allow your mind to access the depths, it punishes you. It makes you feel inadequate. It makes you believe there's something wrong with you. Jung understood that this was a tragedy, not just for the individual, but for society as a whole. Because while everyone runs like a hamster on an endless wheel, producing mountains of mediocrity, lazy geniuses are crushed, marginalized, silenced. And with them disappear the ideas that could have changed everything, the solutions to seemingly intractable problems, the inventions that could have improved the lives of millions, all lost because we can't tolerate anyone who works differently.
Now, let's talk about what Jung called the play instinct. It sounds childish, doesn't it? It almost sounds like a joke, as if he were saying that geniuses are just poorly raised children who don't want to become adults. But Jung wasn't stupid, and he didn't choose his words randomly. When he spoke of the play instinct, he was referring to something extremely specific and profound. Play, for Jung, is the mental state in which fantasy and imagination become the raw material for creation. It's not a waste of time. It's the process through which the unconscious communicates with the conscious. It's the bridge between what you know and what you might know, between what exists and what might exist. And this process can't be forced through pure intellect. You can't reason it out until you achieve a revolutionary insight. You have to allow the mind to play, to wander, to explore territories that seem useless or absurd. That's why your best ideas come when you're doing pointless things, when you're taking an endless shower, when you're aimlessly walking around the neighborhood, when you're lying on the couch staring at the ceiling while it's getting dark outside and you haven't even turned on the light yet. In those moments, your mind is playing. It's making random connections. It's exploring possibilities without the pressure of having to reach a specific conclusion. And in that space of total freedom,
things emerge that no planned and structured brainstorming meeting could ever produce. But try explaining this to your manager. Say, "Sorry, I can't make the 9 o'clock meeting because my subconscious is processing it right now and I need to lie on the couch to let my gaming instincts kick in." They'd laugh in your face. They'd fire you. They'd send you to a corporate psychologist who'd prescribe some medication to get you back on track. Because admitting that this approach works would mean dismantling the entire system of control that underlines the modern workplace. Jung documented this too. He documented how the play instinct can't be scheduled. It can't be optimized. You can't put it in an app and get notifications like, "Hey, it's time for your moment to access the collective unconscious." It doesn't work that way. It emerges when it emerges, according to rhythms that are completely beyond conscious control. All you can do is create the conditions, protect the space, and then wait. And here's another huge problem. Modern society is designed to systematically destroy all the conditions necessary for this process to function. Constant noise, endless distractions, notifications every 3 seconds, expectations of immediate responses, a culture of always being available, open spaces where privacy doesn't exist, back-to-back meetings from dawn to dusk. There's no space, there's no silence, there's no time to allow the unconscious to emerge. And then we wonder why true innovation is so rare, why revolutionary ideas always seem to come from outsiders, from people on the margins, from those who don't follow the rules. It's because only they still have access to that silence. Only they still protect those empty spaces that everyone else has filled with noise and frenzy. And society hates them for it. It calls them lazy. It calls them unproductive. It calls them irresponsible. But in reality, it fears them. It fears them because they represent an alternative, a different possibility, a way of being human that doesn't require sacrificing one's sanity on the altar of productivity. Jung also spoke of what he called the evolutionary function of visionary genius. He wasn't just describing strange individuals. He was identifying an evolutionary mechanism of the human species. According to Jung, while most people work within existing systems, maintaining and optimizing them, visionary geniuses access something entirely different. They access what he called transpersonal content, information, patterns, and possibilities that go beyond personal experience and even beyond the cultural experience of the historical moment in which they live.
Think about it. How many times in history has an idea come too soon? How many times has someone proposed something brilliant and everyone ridiculed it for being too ahead of its time? Too ahead of what? Too ahead of the current mindset. But if that person was accessing transpersonal content, archetypal patterns of the collective unconscious, then they weren't thinking in terms of their time. They were thinking in terms of human evolution as a whole. They were seeing where the species could go, not where it is now. And this is terrifying for everyone else, because it means that lazy geniuses aren't just working for themselves. They're working for future humanity. They're preserving connections to forms of knowledge that might be useful 10, 50, 100 years from now. They're keeping open doors that society is desperately trying to close because it doesn't understand what they're for. Jung said it explicitly. Visionary genius pays a very high price. Human personality is often drained of its blood for the benefit of the creative element. These people often live difficult lives. They are socially isolated. They are misunderstood. They struggle to find their place in the world because they are trying to exist in 2 dimensions simultaneously. The ordinary dimension of everyday life
and that deep dimension of the collective unconscious where their intuitions come from. It's like trying to live with one foot in this world and one in another. It's exhausting, it's disorienting, and no one understands what you're going through. They tell you to be more practical, to live in the present, to stop daydreaming. But for you, that's not a choice. You can't just turn off that connection. You can't decide to stop accessing the collective unconscious like an app on your phone. It's part of how your brain works. So the next time someone calls you lazy, smile, because now you know something they don't. You know you're not lazy, you're connected, you're a visionary. You're one of those rare individuals Jung identified as bridges between the ordinary world and the depths of the collective unconscious. You're someone who accesses forms of intelligence that most people will never touch. And that connection, that ability to access the collective unconscious, may be exactly what the world needs. So stay true to yourself. Protect your silence. Honor your rhythm. If this video has shaken away even a millimeter of the guilt you've been carrying around every time someone made you feel inadequate for not being productive enough, then do 3 things for me. First, hit that like button like it's your 5 a.m. alarm clock. Second, write in the comments, "My silence is my superpower." Third, sign up and activate that damn bell, because you won't find the usual cheap motivational rhetoric here. Keep protecting your space. Keep honoring your rhythm. The world doesn't understand you yet, but it will. See you on the other side.